Genesis chapter 30, verse 1. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. Footnote on children. Hebrew sons. Verse 2. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, Am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? God's. See note on 29:31. Verse 3. And she said, Behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. Bilhah, this was strictly in accordance with the Code of Hammurabi, number 145, see Appendix 15. Compare verse 29:29. And have children, Hebrew, he builded up. See note above and compare 16:1-3. Verse 4. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. No footnotes. Verse 5. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. No footnotes. Verse 6. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. Footnote on judged, Hebrew Danani, judged. Dan, Hebrew judge. Figure paronomasia, see Appendix 6. Verse 7. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and she bare Jacob a second son. No footnotes. Verse 8. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. Footnotes, verse 8. And figure polysedeton for emphasis. See Appendix 6, where it says, Great wrestlings have I wrestled. Hebrew, with wrestlings of El, meaning God, i.e. mighty wrestlings. Figure polyptoton and paronomasia. See Appendix 6. Naphtali, Hebrew, my wrestling. Verse 9. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. Verse 9. Zilpah, wife. This was strictly in accordance with the Code of Hammurabi again, number 145. Compare verse 16, 1-3, 30, 3 and 4, and see Appendix 15. 10. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. No footnotes. 11. And Leah said, A troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. Footnotes. A troop. Hebrew, overrun, or have victory. So the Septuagint Arab Ankh and Vulg. Gad is Jupiter of the Babylonians. See Isaiah 65:11, Marge, and in the margin on that verse, and Joshua 11:17 and 12:7, where Baal-Gad, the god Jupiter. Verse 12. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. Verse 13. And Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. Happy. Hebrew Bi-ishri, happy, will call, etc. Hebrew Ish-shri-runi, sure to call me. Asher, Hebrew Asher is happy. Compare Deuteronomy 33:24. Figure of speech, paronomasia, see Appendix 6. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy sons mandrakes. Mandrakes. Sept mandragora, the root easily formed by pinching it into the shape of a man, hence its name, also supposed to be and used as a love philter. Arab, apples of Satan. 15. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband, and wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. No footnotes. 16. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. No footnotes. 17. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob a fifth son. Verse 18. And Leah said, God hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. Where it says hire, footnotes up here. Hebrew Sikari, hire, figure paranomasia again, appendix 6, with Issachar. And Issachar, Hebrew, there is hire, or he is wages. Verse 19. And Leah conceived again, and she bare Jacob a sixth son. Verse 20. And Leah said, God hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. So, footnotes are up here. Verse 20. Dowry, God hath dowered me with a good dowry. Figure polyptoten, see appendix 6. Zebulun, Hebrew dwelling or habitation, in the Syrian word to honor, brought out of Ur. Verse 21. And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. Daughter, Jacob may have had other daughters not named. Dinah, Hebrew probably vindication or judgment. 22. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb. God remembered. Anthropopathia, that's a figure of speech in appendix 6. Verse 23. And she conceived and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. The footnotes are from 22 through 24, so I'm going to read 24. 24, and she called his name Joseph, and said, The Lord shall add to me another son. So here's his footnotes through 22 through 24, and 24 separately. So the verses 22 through 24 is a figure of speech called hysterologia. Appendix 6, for Joseph born after Naphtali, not after Dinah. This figure is used to keep Leah's children together. And then in verse 24, Joseph, Hebrew Yosef, may he add. The Lord, note the occurrence of Jehovah here in connection with Joseph. And shall add. Hebrew Yosef is adding. Figure paranomasia again. Verse 25. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto mine own place, and to my country. Verse 26. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service which I have done thee. Verse 27. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry. For I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. Footnotes on tarry, for figure ellipsis, appendix 6, 2d, which requires some such supply. Experience by divination, Hebrew nehashti, from Nahash, Genesis 3:1. Let's see here. Verse 28. Up here. And he said, appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. Verse 29. And he said unto him, thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. Verse 30. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased into a multitude. And the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I provide for mine own house also? Verse 31. And he said, what shall I give thee? And Jacob said, thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. I missed the footnotes on 30. So 30 is up here. Provide, Hebrew, the verb to do, which by metonymy of the cause. Appendix 6 means to provide or do for. House, figure metonymy of subject, appendix 6, by which house is put for all those who dwell in it. Then there was 31, I read already. Feed and keep thy flock. 32. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. Verse 33. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen from me, stolen with me. 33. Answer. By the figure prosopopoia. Appendix 6. Righteousness is personified. In time to come, Hebrew tomorrow. Figure antimeria of adverb. Appendix 6. Some future day. 34. I'm going to keep the footnote and screen there for 43. I'll have to scroll up anyway. Okay, 34. And Laban said, behold, I would it might be according to thy word. Verse 35. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-straked and spotted, and all of the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hands of his sons. 36. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob fed the rest of the Laban's flocks. 37. And Jacob took him rods of green poplar, and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and piled white strakes in them, and made the white appear, which was in the rods. 38. And he set the rods which he had pilled before the flocks in the gutters of the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. 39. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth the cattle ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. 40. And Jacob did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks towards the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flock of Laban, and he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not into Laban's cattle. 41. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. 42. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in, so the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger were Jacob's. 43. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels and asses. Footnotes on verse 43 are up here. The man, Hebrew ha-ish, appendix 14.2, and exceedingly, Hebrew miyad, greatly, figure epizeuxis, see appendix 6.